Hello, welcome to the Self-Learning Podcast by Dr. Sushma Singh. Let us start discussion on Unit 1, What is Urban Sociology? And our topic is Approaches to the Study of Urban Sociology. Due to the complex nature of the problem, there is a need to approach it from several directions. First, we are concerned with the relationship between the city and civilization, with the fact that the modern literate man is integrally wound up with urbanism and all that it implies. The task here is twofold. First, meaningfully to identify the city, and second, to trace the origins of modern city life back to their antecedents. Cities have been seen in wider context of the history of civilization by many scholars since, such as G. Bottero, A. F. Weber, Spengler, Tony B. Gaddis, Gurrier, Mumford, and Wirth. While Bottero and Weber sought more specific causes and conditions for the growth of cities in different civilizations, Spengler and the Tony B. generally considered world history in terms of city history. Gaddis viewed the city as a mirror of civilization. Mumford and Gurrier have elaborated this idea in different historical contexts. Wirth also maintained that the history of civilization should be written in terms of history of cities, and that the city was the symbol of civilization. While these ideas remained general, more specific insights into urbanism and urbanization in the context of civilization were provided by the set of concepts worked out by Redcliffe, Field, and his colleagues. They developed a different perspective in the study of cities by constructing a typology of city and working out its organizational and functional aspects. Distinguishing between the orthogenetic and heterogenetic process, they argued that the primary organization consists in the transformation of the little tradition into the great tradition, and that secondary urbanization introduced the elements of freedom from tradition. Second, the physical mechanism as a preconditioning force requires deliberation. This is the ecology of urbanism, a concern with the city as a physical object composed of streets, buildings, facilities for communication and transportation, and a complex of technical devices through which an area is transformed into a human community. This ecological dimension, a necessary approach, embraces those physical, spatial, and material aspects of urban life, distinguishable from will, consensus, and deliberate action of a social psychological nature. The key question is here: why do certain human types, groups, races, professions, and physical utilities tend to love to certain areas in the city? And how does the configuration of the settlement enter into the social life? In case of Indian cities, especially in old cities like Delhi, Agra, and Amritsar, the inner parts of the cities can be divided into mohallas or traditional neighborhoods, which are exclusively inhabited by a particular occupational or caste group. All Indian cities have these patterns. The new or more recent part of the cities may be called as the colonial and post-colonial parts of the city. Usually these parts of the cities are on the other side of the railway line. These are entirely different from old ones. Here people are grouped on the basis of income rather than caste or occupation. They are grouped on the basis of the plot size also. The socio-economic status of an area can be determined on the basis of more number of bigger plots in that area and wider roads and available infrastructure. A poor residential area can be easily distinguished from such rich or posh residential areas due to its appearance and available infrastructure. Third is the form of social organization. This perspective deals with the basis form of urban life that have evolved as a direct result of urbanization. Sociology as a discipline has probably made its largest contribution to this dimension of the urbanization process. The social organization of the modern urban community can be said to include a huge and complex network of individuals, groups, bureaucratic structures, and social institutions, which is further differentiated into a complex division of labor. The unit of analysis can be ranked from the smallest and the most simple to the largest and the most elaborate as follows. The first is the individual. The urban individuals can best be described in terms of patterns of personality, organization, and individual lifestyle that are believed to have evolved in response to the condition of the urban life. Much of the early writings on the urban individual was based on the idea that the city produces distinct personality and behavioral characteristics that set urbanites apart from their rural counterparts. But recent writing on urban personality and lifestyle has been more dynamic and has described the mechanism for coping with or adjusting to the urban complex or the techniques of the urban survival. The concern with the individual also brings into focus many socio-cultural dimensions such as the positive or negative attitudes, values, beliefs, perceptions, and symbolic attachments that have come to be associated with urban life. The second is the primary groups. These are small and intimate face-to-face groups such as the family, couples, or intimate friendship group. Some scholars feel that in large urban centers, these groups would be swallowed up or destroyed, and that all remain would be segmented. Impersonal relationship thought to be characteristics of large bureaucratic structures, yet primary groups have remained viable part of urban social organization. While they appear to be necessary carrying over from rural societies, their form and functions have changed in response to modern urban conditions. Such changes remain a focal point of much contemporary urban sociological research. Urban neighborhoods fall in the middle range of urban social organization. In the terms of size and complexity, they are larger and more complex than primary groups, but are more informal and less complex than large-scale bureaucratic organizations. Sociologists do not entirely agree on the significance of local neighborhoods for providing social bonds, arenas of social participation, meaning, or order to urban life at the local level. And there is a great deal of research and speculation on this topic. The same can be said of social networks, which are much more amorphous patterns of interaction than neighborhoods, as they are not necessarily tied to specific geographic location, and they remain at a somewhat more primitive stage of classification and explanation in sociological literature. Now the next point is voluntary associations. Much has been said about the very high rates of participation in voluntary association in contemporary urban America. Much has also been theorized about their structural characteristics and functions. For now, it is enough to say that the voluntary associations are also at the middle and intermediate range of social organizations. They are somewhat more formal and internally differentiated than neighborhoods or networks, and that they serve both instrumental and expressive functions that are not adequately met by any other level of social organization. They fill a gap in urban sociological organization by creating new blends of both primary groups and bureaucratic form of social organization. In the next discussion, we shall continue the same topic and will start with subtopic bureaucracy. Now let us wind up the session and take rest. Thank you very much for engaging yourself with the self-learning podcasts.